Hi, this is Mr. Max. So I am looking at a few questions today, and the first one that I have here is a question about finding the volume of a, well, one can call it a combined shape. So you have got a prism part, okay, which has a height of 2 meters and a width of 0.5 meters, and then also a length of 0.6, and then you have the pyramid on top of it, obviously the same base area, and its height is 0.8. So you have to calculate the volume, and you can actually divide it in two parts. Okay, so if I have to say part 1, finding the volume of the pyramid, so maybe perhaps I'll call that my part 1, and the volume of the pyramid, you calculate that simply by saying 1/3 times the base area, okay, times the height. Now the height of the pyramid is 0.8. Okay, so I guess you can sort of grab your calculator and then you can work that out quickly. Let me just clear the display here. So it's 1/3 times 0.6 times 0.5 times 0.8. Okay, so it's about 0.08 cubic meters. 0.08 cubic meters. All right, so that's the first part. So perhaps my second part, I'll be saying let's find the volume of the prism, and that is simply calculated by the area of the cross section, which is 0.6 times 0.5, and then you multiply that by the height, and the height here is 2 meters. Okay, so you can again grab your calculator and then you can work it out. All right, so just get it to the side where we have more space. So it is going to be 0.6 times 0.5 times 2. Well, that gives you 0.6. So that's 0.6 cubic meters. So I think you know where I'm going with this. So the volume of the pillar, cement pillar, will be 0.08 cubic meters plus 0.6 cubic meters. It is therefore 0.68 cubic meters. Okay, so this is a very straightforward question. You just have to, for ordinary level, they are always going to give you the volume of a pyramid, okay, or a cone or a sphere. But the others you have to know by yourselves, like how to find the volume of a rectangular prism. Okay, then we have a second question here, and the second question involves a little bit of trigonometry that you are supposed to use. So they are saying in this triangle, the angle QPR, that's the angle right here, so I'm going to call it theta. We know that it's an acute angle, it's very important, so we don't have an ambiguous case, all right? And then PQ is 10 centimeters and PR is 14 centimeters as indicated. They are saying the area of this triangle is 48 square centimeters. And they say you're supposed to calculate QPR, and then you must show that it rounds to 43.3 degrees, correct to one decimal place. Very important that you show all your working. Now, what is very important is that in order for you to calculate the area of a triangle, which is not a right angle triangle, you are supposed to be familiar with this particular formula. That means you take half of the sides that flank the angle, which is 14 times 10, and then you multiply that by the sine, as I will call it now, theta, and that should give me 48, because 48 is the area that I have here. Okay, so from here on, you have got a half of 140 times sine theta equals 48. So this is 70 sine theta equals 48. And I hope you understand where the 70 comes from. That's a half of 140. And sine theta is going to be 48 upon 70. And in order for me to find that angle, you have to say that angle will be the inverse sine of 48 upon 70. And you can go ahead now and make sure that when you use your calculator, that your calculator should be in degree mode. Okay, so it's 48 upon 70. So our answer should be close to 43.3 to one decimal place. So I get 43.291. Okay, so it's 43.29111 degrees, which means that our angle QPR is therefore 43.3 degrees, as what we were supposed to prove, okay, from the scenario that we were given. So you get working for applying the correct formula and that kind of stuff. They are saying we're supposed to calculate length of QR. So let me just quickly draw roughly how the triangle is. Okay, it's just a rough sketch. So our QR was here. That's what we are supposed to find. We determine that this angle here was 43.3 degrees. We know that that is 10, and we know that is 14. So in order for us to find that distance of QR, we have to use the cosine rule. Okay, and the cosine rule, you remember, it's a square. Let me just make sure that my a square looks proper. So it's a square equals b square plus c square minus 2bc times the cosine of what angle A is. So in this case, our QR square equals to 10 square plus 14 square minus 2 times 10 times 14 times the cosine of 43.3 degrees. Okay, so you can go ahead and you can actually punch all of that on the calculator. So if I grab my calculator again quickly, let me just bring it over here so that we can have space. Oopsie. Just drag it over here. Okay, so it doesn't want to play game. So it's going to drag it over here. Okay, so in order for me to find that, let me just clear this. So I know that it's 10 squared plus 14 squared minus 2 times 10 times 14 times the cosine of 43.3. So I'm going to get an answer there, rather very long answer, 92.2236 and so on. So if I write that answer down, so that's about 92.2236 and so on and so on and so on. So QR should equal to the square root of whatever that is. Okay, so I'm going to go and say, wait a minute, shift square root of my answer. My answer is going to be like that. Using a calculator, please make sure that you do understand. So I have about 9.60. That is what we are looking for. So it's about 9.60, well, centimeters. Okay, and that is the distance that QR would be. So just be careful whenever you're using your calculator, right, that you don't treat this here, right? Remember, this is one term here. This is one term here. All right. This is one term here. You can get that answer and also from the others. But just punch it in. If you have a scientific calculator, you'll get the value that is 100% correct. Right. So I have a third question. The third question also gives you a triangle, ABC. It's a right angle triangle. And then here they say that the area is 48 square centimeters. And then you have got AB, which is x plus 4 centimeters, and BC is x centimeters, and you have angle Y there. So we know now from working on a right angle triangle that the areas for such triangles is just half base times height, which means I can say half And I can decide anyone to be the base. I can have x here times x plus 4 more should give me the 48. Okay, right. So from here on, it's basically how you use. So first of all, I would like to get rid of that fraction there. So that gives me 96 here. And I have got x and x plus 4. And now the only thing that is left for you to do is to distribute that x over. So you have got x squared plus 4x equals 96. Well, if you write that as a quadratic equation equal to 0, then this is surely what you're going to get. And this is what we were supposed to show. Now the second question says you're supposed to solve that equation. Well, this equation here, it does factorize. Okay, so we can do our trial and error method. And remember, that's a minus there, so one bracket will be positive, one bracket will be negative. So the two numbers is 12 times 8. If you multiply them, give you 96. And then if you add negative 8 to the 12, you're going to get that 4. So our numbers would be x plus 12 and x minus 8. So x plus 12 is equal to 0, or x minus 8 is equal to 0. We just say we're supposed to solve this equation. So x is equal to negative 12. That would be one answer, or another answer would be x equals to 8. So they ask us to solve the equation, and that's what I did there. Now they want us to find the length of AB. So let us just quickly go back, right? And I hope you realize that AB is a distance, all right? And a distance cannot be negative. So this here should be a positive value. So, which means the only viable solution for x that we'll use is x equals to 8. We can't use the negative value. But we are supposed to calculate AB. And in order for us to find AB, it will just take that 8 plus 4 more. Okay? So AB, which equals to x plus 4, according to our value, will be 8 plus 4, which is then 12 centimeters. Okay? So I hope that that part was okay for you, why you don't consider the minus 12. Right, then they're saying when tangent of 10y is 1 over 6. Now, we also know from a lot of work that tangent of any angle y is whatever is opposite that angle y, which means our opposite is x, and whatever then is divided by whatever is adjacent to that angle y, and the adjacent is nothing but, put it in bracket, x plus 4, and we know that it should equal to 1 over 6. So you can have a sort of a cross multiplication here, and you can actually solve, all right? So eventually that gives you 5x is equal to 4, because 6x, take away x is 5x, and then x is nothing but 4 over 5, or you can even have 0.8 if you give your answer as a decimal. Then they're saying when AC is 9, so let me just draw the right angle triangle here quickly. So this is 9, so this is our AC. We know this is x plus 4, and that is x. So they are saying when that is 9, so we're going to use Pythagoras' theorem. Pythagoras' theorem says 9 squared should equal to the sum of the two shorter sides, which is x plus 4 squared plus x squared. Right, so I hope you still remember how to multiply this bracket here. It's x plus 4, and then plus x squared should give you 81. All right, so if you multiply this, you get x squared plus 4x plus 4x. This is going to give you 8x plus 16 plus x squared. Well, I can bring that over to let it equal to 0. So that's 2x squared plus 8x, okay, because you have got 8x. Then you have 16 minus that gives you minus 65. And this is what we're required to prove. So using Pythagoras' theorem. Now, another important thing that you need to realize is here. They are saying you're supposed to solve that equation, and you're supposed to give that to 2 decimal places, which means this equation does not factorize. So you will have to use the quadratic equation formula or completing the square, whatever method you use. But first, I'm going to identify my A is 2, my B is positive 8, my C is negative 65. And you need to know this when you are substituting this into the quadratic equation formula. And you don't get a mark really here for writing the quadratic equation formula. Okay, let's just quickly correct that. So this is going to be minus b squared minus 4ac everything over 2a. Right. See how I use my brackets there, and I'm just going to punch in the values. That is 8. That is 8. A is 2. That's minus 65 there, and obviously A is 2. Right. So we're going to have two solutions. So one solution will be whatever that is, and then the second solution will be whatever that is if it's negative. Okay. So you can grab your calculator and perhaps work it out. So I'm going to just clear everything, and you have to be a bit careful once you are dealing with your calculator here. All right, so maybe you have to use the numerator first. So what I like to do, I'll say negative 8, and I'll say plus the root. Now the root is shift here, and I have this calculator, so I'm going to have to tell the calculator what to do. Okay, minus 4 times 2 times negative 65. Okay, and you get a value there which is 520. And then I'm going to divide that by 4. Okay, so again, I can see that something is not okay. I have to go back here. So let's just start all over again. Okay, so let me take the numerator first. So I'm going to take the numerator. So the numerator is nothing but negative 8, say plus. Now here comes the catch. Square root. I'm going to have my square root, shift, bring in our square root. I'm going to have a bracket, and then I have 8 squared in that bracket, then minus 4 times 2 times negative 65, close it again. So I'm getting a value of 16 point something, and I'm going to divide that answer by 4. Okay, so one of my solutions will be 4.04. So 4.04. Okay, to 2 decimal places. The second one, well, just so you see here is where the catch will be. So you do all of that, and then you just go put a minus there. Okay, so well, let's start over again. Okay, I'm going to have negative 8. Now I have a minus square root of. So if I put square root, I need to put brackets there again and again. So I've got 8 square. I close that. But you see the first bracket here, I'm going to close it towards the end because I'm saying let everything be under the square root. Okay, minus 4 times the value of A, which happens to be 2, close, times the value of C, which happens to be negative 65. I close, then I close it again. So what I'm getting is I'm getting my answer for the numerator. Then I'm going to divide that by 2 times 2, which is 4. So I'm going to divide that answer by 4. And then get negative 8.04. So negative 8.04. All right, also to 2 decimal places. So please make sure that you are using your calculator wisely and that you arrive at the correct answers. Now, they want us to calculate the perimeter of the triangle ABC. Again, if we have to find the perimeter of ABC, I can't use the negative value of 8. All right, so I'm just going to say the perimeter will therefore be the 4.04 plus. So that 4.04 is like my x value here. Okay, so I'm going to have plus 9 plus x plus 4. Okay, plus, well, I'm going to go ahead and say plus 9 plus 4.04 plus 4. All right, the whole thing here should be in centimeters. Okay, so okay, grab your calculator and then you work it out. 4.04 plus 9 plus 4.04 plus 4, it's about 21 point something, 21.08. So 21.08 centimeters. That will be the perimeter, okay, of, we just want to make sure everything's centimeters, correct, 21.08 centimeters. So just make sure that whenever you are using this, that you do not use the negative value, because the negative value there will not make any sense, because again, perimeter distance cannot be negative. So in this particular case, you're not going to consider that when you do this part of the question. Right, so I have a last question here. So we are told in this question that the area of a square is 144 square centimeters, and you're supposed to find the area of the circle. You can see the circle is inscribed, it's inside the square. So we know that the area of a square is side times side. So what times what gives us 144? And in order for us to find the side, we need to take the positive root. So we know now that the side of the square is nothing but 12 centimeters. That means this distance from here to there is 12. That means that distance there will be 6, all right? Because the whole distance all the way should be 12 there. Okay, so we now know the radius is 6 centimeters, and in order for you to calculate the area of a circle, you get that by multiplying pi times your radius square. In this case, it will be 6 squared times pi, which is 36 pi. Well, you can actually go ahead and give this answer perhaps to 3 significant figures, because pi is an irrational number. So I'm going to have 36 shift pi somewhere up there, and I have about 113.09 blah blah blah. So it's 113. So that's about 113. Well, this is the area, square centimeters again. I say correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so these were the first 4 questions that I have done here for you today. Please write them down, work them out, see if your answers correspond, and follow what I did on this particular course.